Hello, 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 everyone. What is going on? James here of the Banterous Hour, and welcome back to a new episode with myself and fellow co-host, Mr. Liam.
Hello there.
The last one Liam was on was a SpongeBob-related one, and now we're back to talking about SpongeBob again. This time in movie form on the big screen. Actually, no, sorry, I got that wrong. We did a one where we reacted to your videos. That was it.
Yeah.
2 weeks
So,
ago,
yeah.
so I forgot about that one. But yeah, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie review. So I've watched it a fair few times. It's quite a nostalgic, interesting film to me. Liam, I know you watched it the other day. Had you ever watched it before this, or was this your first time watching it?
I feel like I've watched. I don't know. I can't remember that I've watched it all the way through. I think I've watched some of it. I know that we had the DVD. To be fair, I don't know whether we still have it, but I know that we had that. We've had that ages ago, but I just can't remember that I've watched the whole thing because I feel like when I was watching it, I felt like some of it seemed familiar, like I remember it. I don't know whether I watched the whole thing. I mean, I might have done, but it would have been years ago. But
Yeah,
um, I know that I've definitely like seen some of it or bits of it before.
fair dues.
Yeah.
Um, so I've watched it a load of times, and to be honest, the more I've watched it in recent times, the more, especially this recent watching, I really enjoyed it. I don't know why. It's probably the most I've enjoyed watching it, to be honest with you. I just, it's hard to explain. Like from a personal standpoint, objectively, I'm not going to sit here and say it's some phenomenal, brilliant film. It isn't a phenomenal, brilliant film. It's pretty damn great, to be honest. I'll say it's very great for a SpongeBob finale and a film about SpongeBob for the SpongeBob fans. But as a film on its own, I'd say it's very good. I'd honestly say it's a very good film just on its own. And I know I usually say this stuff at the end, but I thought I'd just say it now. On its own, I'd say it's a very good film. It's quite fun, even without watching SpongeBob. I feel like it's just a good buddy road trip. It's just a bit of fun, just a fun, easy watch. But yeah, anyway, so into the film. So I've watched SpongeBob before. I've watched a fair few seasons, and this is basically culminating in his dream. Even though he doesn't talk about it much in the show, he wants to become the manager at the Krusty Krab. And the first part of the story, the first act, is about him, getting the result of being Krusty Krab manager or not. Sorry, but I just wanted to say something quickly. I just remembered we do actually have a Wild Pirate intro, which was a bit weird to be honest. To be honest, I always just want to jump straight into the film. I'm not really interested in all this pirate nonsense. But I will say that I do respect. Like if Patchy the Pirate and Potty had been there, then that would have been brilliant. But you know, bloody pirate sequence with all these random pirates. I mean, it was cool when they're acting like actual pirates, but then when they're like SpongeBob fanboys, I was a bit like, I don't know. It's all right, I guess. It was a fun, interesting way to shock the viewers and make us all think, well, what's going on? Why have we got all these live action pirates? But the pirate boat was an actual pirate boat. It wasn't green screen or anything. They actually filmed that out in the sea. So that was pretty cool. I guess it was just a bit wacky and fun, really. And we've got Boboy Boy Forge fan edits with the German flag. Hello. I don't know if that's a George alt account. But yeah, hello there. Thank you for joining. Anyway, so that sequence was cool. But yeah, back to the main story. So we have some bizarre, crazy intro, but then we also have a dreamy sequence where SpongeBob is going in like he's bloody, rewiring a bomb to stop it detonating. And then, they're all like, hey, free cheers for the new manager, SpongeBob. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, 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 And then he wakes up, and then SpongeBob is getting ready. He's brushing his teeth and his eyes, and he's got his bum out for some reason. Even though previously in the show he hasn't, I don't think he has had a bum in the show because I know the Doodle Bob rubs out his bum crack, which is pretty funny. But in other episodes, when SpongeBob's been running around in the nude, as Sandy Cheeks would say, he hasn't had a bum. He's just been a square. I don't think sponges in real life have genitalia, but I guess it's not a big deal. But yeah, it's we get a new character a new part of the SpongeBob universe introduced, Goofy Goober, because when SpongeBob is on the way to work, he says, "And then we're gonna go to the place. Oh, I mean, Goofy Goober Land, way, or the Goofy Goober Bar, or whatever it's called." And then they're bouncing around saying, "I'm a Goofy Goober, yeah. You're a Goofy Goober, yeah. Goofy, 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 Goofy Goober," which was interesting. But what do you think of all the intro sequence with the pirate ship and the dream and SpongeBob getting ready?
Well, that was different. Yeah, the pirate ship. I suppose they were sort of, yeah, leaning more into the real world aspects. Which, okay, we've seen some like bits of it with certain episodes and specials. Although I did say what I did like about the pirates scene was that rendition of the SpongeBob theme. I actually liked that version of the theme. To be honest, I have to admit, I actually prefer that version of the theme to the normal theme, like the way it
How
was
does the
done.
theme go?
So they just sang it like, the same lyrics, but I don't know, it sounds different. I don't know if it's just the pirates singing or and the music was different. I can't remember exactly, but I just preferred it personally to like the normal SpongeBob theme. So of course with the normal SpongeBob theme, you've got um, the pirates who's like singing, and then the kids, and
Oh yeah.
I think
Are
I
you
think
ready, kids?
yeah.
Aye, aye, Captain. I can't hear you. Aye, aye, Captain.
Mm.
Oh, who lives in a pineapple under a pineapple? Hold on. I just need to mute my mic and listen to them singing the theme. Oh yeah, I know what you're on about now. Do I prefer it? I say they're on par for greatness, but I guess I would honestly rather listen to their more deep tone, manly version. Their like "whoa" version. That just sounds cooler to me because I always skip
Saying yeah.
SpongeBob SquarePants intro because I just think
Yeah.
I've heard this so many times. I don't want to hear some kid shouting "Aye, aye, Captain" and "SpongeBob SquarePants" over and over again. I know
Mm.
you've got the pirates singing, but the kids contrasting the pirate's voice, it just sounds a bit. It's just difficult to listen to over and over and over again. I just rather skip the intro. But obviously, with
Yeah.
this, it does sound pretty badass. You know, you've got a bunch of pirates singing it, and in and the way they're singing it, and they've got the SpongeBob letters up as well as they're singing. It's pretty cool to be honest. I do prefer it to the original, but the original's still great. But I'd say I prefer this one.
Yeah, like I think there's other kids shows that have theme songs that are better. I think personally, I just find the normal. I don't know. I just find the normal SpongeBob one. I don't know. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. I think it's the way
Yeah,
it's done, and I find it a bit
it's
annoying. But yeah. So,
what's your favourite cartoon show intros then?
I suppose Ben 10's probably one of them.
Oh, yeah, I
Um,
think we talked about that before, didn't we? How it's like such a bop.
yeah, no, it
Oh,
is. Yeah, and just like going through the 10 aliens. Yeah, and even just the song and the way it's sung.
because the person who's singing it, it sounds like Tara Strong, Ben 10's voice actor, rapping.
Could be.
But
To be
obviously,
fair,
I think
yeah.
it's someone else singing it. But it's so
Yeah.
cool how it sounds like it's sort of like Ben rapping, even though it doesn't
Mm.
sound exactly like him. But yeah, that's actually one of the best. That's a great show, actually. Yeah, that's an absolute bop, to be fair. The original Ben
Yeah.
10 song.
Trying to think of what else really. Actually, I don't know.
Have you ever watched Samurai Jack?
No.
That intro's sick because it's
Mm.
a big long intro telling you about Samurai Jack and why he's ended up where he is, and then the theme song. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the end theme. I think. Oh yeah, I'm thinking of the ending credits because the intro to Samurai Jack is just telling you about him. It's not really a song, but the ending is gotta get back to the past, Samurai Jack. Whatcha? Gotta get. It sounds a lot better if you actually look it up. The
Mm.
way I sung it, it just sounds crap. But
Mm.
it's a pretty bad boy. It's a pretty bad boy show, and it's a great ending song. I think closing theme. Sorry, I think Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends has a good theme tune. And what's the other one? Gravity Falls. That's pretty good. What's that other one as well that I was thinking of? Chowders is really good. You take the moon and you take the sun. You take everything that seems like fun. You stir it all up and then you're done. Rudder, 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 rudder. And then the chorus comes in. It's pretty good. Have you ever watched Chowder?
Not really. No, that's not one I really was bothered about watching. Of course, I saw like it was. Of course, it was on telly because it was on the channels I was watching other stuff on. But only like little snippets, I guess. Yeah, never really bothered to watch like a full episode. I don't think. Really.
You should watch it, bro. It was an amazing show when I watched it, man. I enjoyed it a lot.
I just don't know whether at the time I was really. I don't know that I really. Whether the humour did it for me, I don't know. Maybe from what bits I saw, so don't know how I'd feel about it now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know something that's weird. I thought I'd enjoy the Rocko's Modern Life humour. I know that's different to Chowder, but watching it now, it just gets on my nerves, bro. Like I watched one episode which made me laugh, but then when I tried to watch it from the start, I watched about 7-8 episodes, and I was like. No, actually, no. I think I might have watched till season 2. I think I might have actually watched more than that. I think I might have watched like 17 episodes or something. And I just thought, you know what? This is such a mean show. I get why it's mean. It's meant to be a mad bonkers show, which just doesn't make sense. And the stories are kind of all right, but I'm just annoyed at it, man. I'm annoyed at all the characters. I'm annoyed at how mean and aggressive the world is. I thought it was just meant to be a fun, random show, not like this mean-spirited, bloody bunch of twat animals having a go at Rocko all the time. So, yeah, that just got on my nerves and I just gave up. I wouldn't say it's objectively bad, but it's just not for me anymore. It just gets on my nerves. I was surprised that the humour didn't do it for me. Some of the humour I like little moments. I mostly like Philbert with his antics and how geeky he is and all that stuff. But yeah, I guess back to the SpongeBob movie. So yeah, SpongeBob is like, oh man, you know, I'm going to be manager. I'm going to be manager. Oh wait, I like the bit where Squidward's having a shower and he goes, la da dee, la da doo, la da dum.
That's like from the show, yeah.
La da dum, la da dee, la. SpongeBob, what are you doing in here? And then it's just some waffle about, oh, I need to tell you something that I can't tell you at work. I'm going to be the new manager, some weirdness like that. And then Squidward was like, get out! And chucks him out the window. And then you got Plankton crying that Mr. Krabs is being interviewed. To be honest, some of this film is quite funny. Like when he's like, so what made you open? So this is Mr. Krabs. Hello, I like money. And what made you build a second Krusty Krab next to the first one? Money! It's like, man, that's I don't know why, that just makes me laugh a bit. And then obviously Plankton's annoyed about what's happening because he hasn't got the customers or the success that Mr. Krabs has. So he looks at Plan Z, which is stealing King Neptune's crown. And King Neptune is quite a brutal dude. You see in the first scene, he was going to execute some little geezer for polishing his crown, even though he's looking at his crown. No, touching his crown, but obviously he's the crown polisher, so it's his job to do that. So we know how much of a brutal guy he is, but obviously his daughter Mindy is a lot more kind-hearted and sympathetic. Yeah, one thing that didn't sit right with me in the film, she's apparently 13 to 14 years old in the film. Why the hell are they making like Patrick say, she's pretty, do you want to see my underwear? It's like, what the hell? What's going on? At least she's voiced by a grown woman. I think Scarlett Johansson was like, what? In her early 20s when she did this. I'm surprised she liked the film so much. You wouldn't think. Again, I haven't watched many real-life interviews with her, but you wouldn't think someone who plays like a superhero character would love playing like a mermaid character. You'd think she'd just be like, oh, it was just stupid crap I did for money. But she liked it so much that she did the voice of Mindy in the movie game as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but at the same time, this was before she did any superhero stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but like you'd think she would have looked back on it and thought after she'd done the superhero stuff, like, oh, this was just stupid shit.
Maybe, but I don't know. That's fair enough that she looks back on it fondly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad about that. I wish they would get Mindy back for some more episodes, but obviously they can't. You're not going to get hold of a bloody famous Hollywood star like her now, are you? So you're gonna have to
Well,
get a
they,
new,
yeah,
you're gonna have to get a new voice actress for her, or just
yeah.
I don't know, just pay the big bucks, I guess, and just beg Scarlett Johansson to come in and record a few lines. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It was before she was in Marvel and all that stuff. So yeah, fair enough. What do you think about Patrick saying "You're hot" and do you want to see my underwear?
I know that was that was odd. Yeah, that was weird.
I think those are some of the worst.
Yeah.
If Mindy was honestly, as a kid, I thought Mindy was like an adult, and until I looked up Mindy's age, because I saw on a video saying, well, "Why is Patrick saying this? She isn't she like 13 or 14?" And then I looked it up and I was like, "Oh shit, she is. Why is Patrick saying this stuff?" Pretty creepy.
That's strange. Like I didn't know that. I thought maybe she might have been. I don't know. Maybe like late teens, early 20s, maybe.
Yeah.
But then, how old? Do you know how old SpongeBob and Patrick are meant to be, or is that never established?
Well, SpongeBob at the start of the film had been working for the Krusty Krab for 31 years. So by that point,
31 years.
yeah, because he was like employee of the month 300 times in a row or something ridiculous. Wasn't it like 375 times in a row he was employee of the month? I swear at the start he shows a load of employee of the month plaques. Well,
yeah.
his driver's license says he was born in 1986 as well. So.
Oh, does it? I've never seen that. No, we'll never noticed that. Why is his driver's license in the film, or is it in just one of the episodes?
In one of the episodes.
Oh.
I honestly always thought SpongeBob was like early 20s or something, or mid 20s.
You'd think, yeah.
Same as Patrick. Squidward seems like an early 30s type geezer. Mr. Krabs seems like, although they make him really old, he seems like mid 50s. I wouldn't say he's like 70 or anything ridiculous, or early 50s. And then Sandy's probably like, I don't know. I always thought she was like 31 or 32. And then Mrs. Puff's like in her 40s, it seems like. And Larry the Lobster seems like mid 30s.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Squidward being like late 30s to 40s, really.
Oh, yeah, with
late 30s to early 40s, but
maybe.
Somewhat.
With some of his antics and how he acts and how fed up he is, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because he's quite. Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean, some people. I don't know. It feels like some people get grumpier as they get older, but I guess some people it might be the opposite. But I don't know.
Yeah, like you, Liam. When I first met you in the squad in 2018, when you rolled up to that cinema session, I thought, bloody hell, this bloke seems. I thought you were a cool bloke, but I thought, bloody hell, he seems a bit like fed up. Over the years, not grumpy, or not too fed up, but just a bit like, I wouldn't want to have a joke with you, or have a bit of banter. But then over the years, you've let your hair down and you've had a good laugh,
I suppose, yeah.
And
I suppose
and I started off as a normal person, and I've just become a complete mental case. So,
well.
And George, he started off as, I don't even know, a mentalist, then calmed down slightly, then a bit of a mentalist, then calmed down. And then as soon as he got the taxpayer's dime put in his bank account, he's gradually turned into an absolute madman. So, yeah. So not everyone.
Yeah, I suppose that's pretty. Yeah, mostly accurate. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes at work though, I feel proper grumpy, man. I feel like I've got a burger, I've got all this crap to deal with, and I just feel like I'm just never gonna have a laugh again. I'm so fed up and pissed off. But then I don't feel too bad in myself, but I just feel like fed up at the work I'm doing because it's just a difficult day sometimes and very busy. But then, like 10, 20 minutes later, I'm having a laugh with a colleague and doing some stupid impression and having some bizarre, funny joke. So it's interesting how, like, in 20 minutes, I feel like I'm going to end up being a grumpy old man, or I feel like one now. And then 20 minutes later, I'm just having a laugh and a joke. No.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I guess I can. Yes, I suppose at times I can feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine when you're having to serve like 20 customers and all that stuff. Well, not 20 customers, but sometimes I'm imagining at Christmas time, you're serving loads of people back to back to back to back to back to back, and you've already been there and you've got a 10-hour shift ahead of you. You probably are going to be a bit like, you know.
Well, that's kind of what I was like Monday, yeah, because I did that, 10-hour shift, didn't I?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That must have been horrible.
Mm.
Did you close the shop then? Did you close the shop?
Well, yeah, like I can't, like I'm not like a proper sort of key holder, so I don't have like the training and whatever, like to, take off the tills and count the money and all that. But yeah, I was like on the closing with the other colleague who can do that. Yeah.
Oh, so you help the other colleague out?
Yeah. And then like they like get through the money, and then I have to like count the cash as well, and make sure everything's right, like the quantities are right, and sign a few things, and
And then you took the cash in a safe or something, or
yeah.
Ah, fair enough, fair play. Have there ever been any workers who have like stole any money?
I mean, I don't know about my branch. It's possible, but I don't know. I wouldn't know for sure. I know. There's been like incidents like in the company, like I guess other branches, because you might hear about it. They might say, "Oh, talking about maybe measures that they're putting in place or whatever." But but not as far as I know. But you never know. So
True.
I don't know for sure.
I mean, to be honest, you think to yourself, like, when they're closing up shop, no one's in, they see all that cash in the cash register. You think to yourself, like, they might just nab £2 here, £2 there, it builds up over time. Obviously, I think it's wrong, and I wouldn't, I'd pray for the strength to never fall for that sort of temptation of stealing money. Because as much as businesses can be scummy, snidey, and corrupt, at the end of the day, that money you're robbing could be a regular worker's wage at some point. That money could go into their bank account. You might not necessarily be robbing off some rich person, you know what I'm saying? But you shouldn't steal stuff anyway, it's wrong. So, obviously everyone knows stealing's wrong, but I can imagine it is very tempting when you're seeing like wads of cash and you having to put all that cash away, Well, you own all of the works, don't you, Liam? So you have nothing to worry about. You don't be stealing your own cash because you are the CEO.
Exactly. Yeah. They just don't know.
Yeah, man, undercover boss.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking.
But yeah. So back to the SpongeBob film. So Plankton gets Pansy out. Neptune comes in. He's furious, and I like the scene where he's like, "Oh yeah, hold on, yeah." SpongeBob gets declined for manager because he's told he's too childish. So Mr. Krabs wants to give it to Squidward, the job. Squidward's not really that bothered, but he's like, "All right, thank you." And then after that, SpongeBob walks off very depressed and fed up. He's like, "I'm ready, depression." And then he gets drunk with Patrick off of ice creams at the Goofy Goober place. And that scene was quite comedic. I just love how miserable the waiter was. And then he's like, "Waiter! Waiter! Waiter! Waiter!" He's like, "This goes out to my two best friends, Patrick and this guy dressed as a peanut." Did you do that years ago with GC and some bloke dressed as Darth Vader?
I don't know where you got that from.
Down in the woods. Good laughs, Liam. Yes, and this song goes out too. And this one goes out to my best friend, GC, and this man dressed as Darth Vader! That would honestly be one of the funniest things ever if you did that, Liam. That would be goated.
Maybe.
But Neptune comes in, and yeah, he's quite pissed off because his crown's been stolen. And Mr. Krabs gets the blame for it because he leaves a note saying, "Are Eugene Krabs..." Well, Plankton leaves a note on his behalf saying, "Are Eugene Krabs have stolen the crown, whoop-de-doo. And then there's this funny voice message Plankton leaves in a different voice saying, thanks for selling me the crown, and it's in Shell City now, goodbye. And then he's getting set on fire, even though I don't know how he gets set on fire underwater, but it's a cartoon, so that's all right. And then it is quite funny, you know, how, like I say, how SpongeBob comes in drunk and he just says, he's the biggest liar going and he's a horrible manager and awful. And then he gets frozen by King Neptune. And then Patrick nearly ruins everything for him. Because he says, I'll give you 10 days to get the crown back. And then Patrick's like, you can do it in 9. 8, 7. And then they're like beating Patrick up. And he's like, 6 days then, that's fine.
That's funny, yeah.
And then Mr. Krabs gets frozen. SpongeBob and Patrick are on their merry way. And I like how, I'm glad Squidward didn't go on the quest, because I just feel like, I don't think it would have, as much as I've complained, because this is one of my criticisms for the film, I feel like, as it was meant to be a finale for SpongeBob and the SpongeBob saga, you know, the SpongeBob show, and we get hardly any Sandy, hardly any Mrs. Puff, hardly any Mr. Krabs, really. Like, he's frozen for most of the film. But I get that's for the sake of the plot. We don't even see the Flying Dutchman. I don't think, does Larry the Lobster have like one line? You know?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I think he has like one line. Mrs. Puff and Sandy have 2 lines each, I believe. Merman Man and Barnacle Boy aren't even in it. They're just in a photo in SpongeBob's room. You know, it's like it's meant to be the finale, and we don't have like any big characters. Obviously, I know Hillenburg didn't even want to. Well, he wasn't keen on making a film at first because he thought, like, how are we going to stretch this into an hour-and-a-half film about a sponge under the sea? But they did a good job at stretching it. I don't know. I just would have liked more stuff with more characters. However, I don't think this story that we're trying to tell would have worked with loads of characters. But if this had been the end of the show, maybe they could have done another film after this with more characters in. I don't know. And Plankton being the villain, again, he... Maybe in another film they could have had a different villain. And they're probably having one in some of the films anyway, because they made a lot of films now. But he's been the villain throughout the show, but he never seemed like a dude who actually wanted to kill Mr. Krabs. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like more of a business rivalry type thing. Like he wanted the Formula to be the most successful businessman. And then he's like wanting Mr. Krabs to get killed by King Neptune. It's like it just seems a bit too evil for him. It doesn't seem comical. But I guess they want to raise the stakes with him, so I can see both sides of it really. But yeah, SpongeBob and Patrick hit the open road on the paddy wagon, and they get laughed at straight away by these redneck bloody petrol station workers. And then the paddy wagon gets robbed straight away. So they have to go to the tough bar that looks like the Salty Spittoon. It's called the Tugboat or something, and get the key back. And, you know, it's an interesting sequence there. I enjoy it quite a bit with all the toughness and all the madness. And they're blowing bubbles in the toilet. And then they leave the toilet because the main guy in charge bloody sees one of the bubbles and he's like, and don't think we don't know how to scope them out or weave them out or something, you know, something funny, some weird line like that. And then as soon as but basically the way he tries to suss out who was blowing bubbles is getting the Goofy Goober theme on. And these Siamese twins sing the Goofy Goober theme, and then they get assaulted by the Salty Spittoon people, which was pretty mad. Plankton also hired an assassin called Dennis to kill them, and you get sequences along the way of him beating people up to show how tough and how hard he is. I mean, he's an okay villain. He's a threat along the way. He's an extra threat, I suppose, to SpongeBob and Patrick's journey. So I suppose he's all right. He serves his purpose. But yeah, what else do you think of? What do you think of all those sequences then?
Yeah, they're. I suppose they're okay. Yeah, just trying to. Yeah, like I said, you know, when you said about when Mr. Krabs got frozen, I thought it was funny when Patrick was like trying to bargain, you know, negotiate a deal with Neptune. It's typical Patrick, really. Yeah, and I'm going back a bit here, but yeah. And then, like you say, when they got drunk off the ice cream, that was kind of mad, really. But Yeah, I don't know. I suppose that I don't know. It's called Tugboat, like you said, or the Salty Spittoon type of place. Yeah, that scene was okay. I think. Yeah, I think I found it okay. Yeah, I suppose the stuff with Dennis here and there was interesting. I suppose, like you say, to establish him as a villain, and yeah, of course, hired by Plankton, and I can understand, him, beating up people or like um, or at least make it seem at first as if like he's a serious threat and he's not to be, you know, he's to be taken seriously, and he's, like you said, he's tough and everything. So that stuff was, okay, decent as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I suppose it was sort of mostly sort of okay to decent, I'd say. Yeah.
Fair. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so after they get the key, they ride off. Well, not into the sunset, into the fog, and there's a crazy sequence. Like the film takes a lot of different shifts, doesn't it? Really, because you've got 1 minute they're in this rough, tough bar, then they go in the bathroom, then they're blowing bubbles. Then the next minute, oh yeah, there's a scene I missed. I found it quite funny when Squidward was going riding on his little bike, and everyone had the chum bucket helmets on. And then he goes in and he says, Plankton, this was all your fault. I knew you did all this stuff, but you left one important bit. You forgot one important bit of information. You messed with my paycheck. I'm reporting you to the authorities. And then he just gets screwed over because of the mind controlling buckets. Again, it just seems. I know Plankton had his moments in the show when he wanted to, destroy and conquer stuff and be the man in charge. But again, the majority of the time, it just seemed like he was more of a business rivalry bloke that if he got the chum bucket business, he'd be happy with the chum bucket business doing well. So it doesn't really make sense that he wants to control everything, but I guess it raises the stakes and makes the stakes more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anyway, back to the main road. So SpongeBob is walking through a load of bloody skulls, like thousands of dead fish skulls. Like, damn, that's a bit mad for a kids' film. And then you got that old lady talking to him who's just a part of the fish to lure other fish in as a trap. And yeah, he has to bite her arm off of him because he's stuck to her. Then they drive away from the fish, and then the fish jumps off the cliff because they get out the car and eats the paddy wagon, and the fish gets eaten by another fish, a bigger fish. And then SpongeBob and Patrick are both like, "What are we gonna do? It's too difficult. We're just stupid kids." And then I found the bit funny when Patrick's trousers fall down, and he's like struggling to walk, and then falls over. That bit was so funny, man. I don't know why it just made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mindy rolls up on a horse carriage, but you think to yourself, well, seahorse carriage. But you think, like, why didn't Mindy just ride them to Shell City and then let them try their best to get the rest of the way? And also, she can swim. She can actually like fly in the SpongeBob world. She was swimming up, going, "Yippee! You just have to believe." So couldn't she have swam up herself? I don't know. I guess we wouldn't have had a film if that happened. It would have just been Mindy goes and gets the crown, and that's the end. So it wouldn't have been as interesting. I really enjoy the Now That We're Men song because what they're upset about being kids, even though they're not kids, they're grown men, but they're seen as being kids. Actually, I would have liked it better if SpongeBob had been more of a journey about him maturing and becoming stronger and more adult rather than acting like a kid all the time. That could have been an interesting arc for his character to go on.
Mm.
And he realizes certain aspects of his childishness are what makes him unique and what makes him him. And then that could be the ending when he realizes, you know what, I'm a bit of a kid, but I do need to grow up. And that's when he could have done the Goofy Goober song and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I guess the way they did it was okay. But calling him a kid all the time, it's like, well, he's a grown man who's worked for the Krusty Krab for 30 years. What the hell is everyone on about? Could have just said he's immature. But yeah, so Mindy sticks seaweed on their faces, so it looks like a mustache. And I love the Now That We're Men. Now that we're men. Pass the test, quest for a crown. And I like the bit where they're going, you know, where they're going, they're hitting their chest and their back. I don't know. I found that bit quite funny.
Yeah.
And then all the monsters are singing along with them as well. Now that they're men, they have become our friends. Now that they're men. I like that bit. Yeah, it was a great song. It was an absolute bop. Then what else? Oh, yeah, then they get to Shell City. Dennis catches up to them quite quick. He's ahead of them somehow. So I don't know how he got through that, the cave of monsters. Well, all that area where the monsters were. That was pretty mad how he got so far ahead. Then he's about to step on them, and then a bigger boot squashes him. But then that bigger boot is the Cyclops who kidnaps SpongeBob and Patrick. And I just want to say about the next scene, you think to yourself, damn, you know, they've been captured. How are they going to get the crown now? And then SpongeBob and Patrick are dumped on a piece of wood and with lights on them. And then they're like, SpongeBob's like, even in this probably the saddest moment in the whole of SpongeBob, like, this is probably the close. I didn't tear up, and I'm always honest about when I tear up at stuff or shed a tear to a piece of media. I didn't tear up, but to be honest, there was a small chance that I might have done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd understand if people did tear up at that scene because it was so, I don't know, it was probably like the saddest scene in SpongeBob, you know, where he's like, damn, we didn't do it, we failed. Looks like what everyone said about us is true, Patrick. And he says, what, that we're attractive? that bit made me laugh out loud because it's just so unexpected in such a in such a serious moment, in probably one of the most serious moments in the whole show. And then Patrick's like, well, Shell City. And it's like, yeah, I know, we were meant to get there, weren't we? Shell City. And he's like, yeah, okay, now you just bummed me out now. No, Shell City, there it is. And then SpongeBob is like, damn, we did actually make it, even though no one will know that we made it. And the Krusty Krab's doomed and everyone's a goner. We got a lot further than anyone thought we would. And then they start singing I'm a Goofy Goober and die. And I was like, damn, that is like, that's actually honestly one of the saddest moments of the whole show. And then all the pirates are quite upset. And like I say, I don't blame them because it is probably one of the saddest moments. And then they shed a tear that sets off a bit of steam with electricity. And then the water starts raining down and they come back to life. And then all these fish that have been dead for months come back to life somehow, which I don't get. I can understand for SpongeBob and Patrick because they've been only dead for like 30 seconds, but all these other fish, I don't know, it would have been a bit, I don't know how else they would have got out if all the fish hadn't have teamed up on that Cyclops. And I liked how they animated it very well, having like a real life person with a bunch of 2D characters like the Roger Rabbit film. So that was pretty cool. But what did you think of all those moments? Were you quite sad when SpongeBob and Patrick died?
I suppose it was kind of sad to a degree. I don't think I really felt that. I don't think it really gripped me emotionally that much, even though it was kind of sad, I suppose, but in a way. But yeah, I mean, like you said, yeah, I thought the way they sort of blended the live action with the animation was done well as well. Like especially like when Cyclops, I think it's when the Cyclops is carrying them both and into like sort of like the shadows or whatever, into the darkness. That looked good, but yeah, I mean that scene in live action, yeah, I suppose it was kind of decent. I know it kind of cuts back to like the pirates, you know, watching the film as well in the cinema and whatnot, and I don't know. I mean, with the live action stuff there, I mean, even though I liked that live action rendition at the start, and I know there's been a bit of live action stuff in the show, you know, and then of course, you know, they get brought, SpongeBob and Patrick, of course, they get brought into that place by the Cyclops, so it's, you know, it's above water, so it's live action instead of animation. So I can understand that. I don't know. maybe I can understand why they did the live action stuff with the pirates watching it as a film. Maybe just to like, sort of pad the film out a bit as well. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the live action stuff was that necessary though, or at least like with the pirates watching it and what we saw at the start. But yeah, like I said, that stuff with the Cyclops, I guess that was decent. And what else was there? Yeah, I suppose the Now We're Men song, that was probably one of the better parts of the film, which is like the monsters just suddenly singing with them as well and whatever. And then I was trying to think how that ended. Doesn't it end like, aren't they like the monsters are trying to come with John Patrick, and then
Oh yeah, and they said we managed to traverse these hideous monsters. He's like,
oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
yeah.
not you guys. You guys are cool. That was quite funny.
Yeah.
I think the hideous monsters would have been quite a big help when Dennis showed up, and then the Cyclops. But there you go. But mind you, Dennis can beat pretty much anyone unless they're like a big human or a boat.
Exactly.
He's quite tough, isn't he? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they offended the monsters, so I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So, yeah, I guess again some okay, decent stuff. Like I say, a few better moments, like with the song, and I suppose when Mindy came along, I tried to like sort of give them a bit of a pep talk. That was that wasn't bad, I suppose. But although I did find it a bit annoying how like SpongeBob and Patrick are doing the typical thing again, where they're like uncontrollably crying, and it's like, oh, keeps going and going.
Would have been your favourite scene of the film, having a laugh at them.
Well, I don't know. It's just more annoying than anything. But again, it's one of those things you see in the show at times, and the certain examples of that behaviour and what they do with the humour in this film as well, and like dragging it on a bit to the extreme, and stuff that I think is unnecessary, really, and doesn't need to, goes on a bit too long. But I guess Mindy coming along was somewhat decent, and so yeah. Some, like I say, some better stuff, some okay stuff. Like I say, I wasn't really a fan of the annoying SpongeBob and Patrick behaviour, where they're just crying for like, what feels like a, decades. But yeah, so yeah.
Yes, after they escape Shell City, the Hoff shows up, David Hasselhoff, and he gives him a lift home. But then Dennis somehow rides the boot to get to SpongeBob and Patrick and kill them. SpongeBob takes a leap and jumps onto another side of Hasselhoff's leg. But then Dennis is right there already. He's like, "You got guts, kid, but that's not good enough." And then he's about to kill him, but then Hasselhoff has to swim under a boat slightly, and Dennis gets knocked off, and he presumably ends up in the middle of nowhere in the sea, or he's dead, or I don't know, or he's knocked out. I'm not sure. But he's definitely not on SpongeBob Patrick's tail anymore. So then after that, the Hoff shoots them down to the ground because King Neptune's like, "I'm going to kill Mr. Krabs." And then they get there in the nick of time, and King Neptune's blast shoots David Hasselhoff instead accidentally, which was kind of funny. Then after that, Plankton has one final trick up his sleeve. His last trick. He drops a bucket on King Neptune's head, and then they're all getting cornered because Mr. Krabs is frozen. Mindy and SpongeBob Patrick getting cornered, and he's like, "Plankton cheated." He's like, "What? This isn't a game of kickball," And then after that, SpongeBob's like, yeah, you're right. I'm a knucklehead and a goofball. I'm the McSpazatron. But I still did what I had to do and saw it through and beat the Cyclops and all this stuff. And I'm a goofy goober. Rah! That bit was legendary. The parody of I Want to Rock. I honestly prefer it, man. I can't lie, I prefer SpongeBob's version. As much as it's a bit cringy to listen to because he's going on about like childish stuff. I just feel like there's more variety in the lyrics in this version, to be honest. And the song carries more weight because it's the culmination of SpongeBob. It's him, like, zapping all the bloody buckets off of people's heads, which was pretty cool. And then SpongeBob saves the day. The song's great. Patrick has fishnets on and has grown his legs longer, which was pretty weird. Plankton gets thrown in prison. King Neptune finally gives praise to someone and says, you know what, SpongeBob, you're not Eugene Krabs, you've got a good employee there. Embrace him. And he's like, you know what has to happen now, Sponge? You get the manager badge. And even Squidward agrees. He's like, yep, fair enough. And then everyone's going, hip, hip, hooray for SpongeBob. And then it ends with SpongeBob, Squidward saying, well, aren't you, you realise that you're not bothered about being manager anymore because of the journey you went on. And he goes, are you kidding? This is the greatest day of my life. And he jumps in the air and Ocean Man starts playing by Ween. Amazing tune. And that's the end. And that should have been the end of SpongeBob. Again, if they were going to end it back then, it would have been nice if they had made a few more films to, I don't know, just stretch it out and get more characters involved, maybe. But nonetheless, if they completely ended it there and there'd been no more films after that, yeah, that was a pretty good finale. Quite satisfied with it. He loved working at the Krusty Krab. He finally became manager, went on a big adventure, saved the Bikini Bottom from Plankton. Yeah, great, I guess. Like if this was a TV special split up into 4 parts, I'd say it is very great, and I'd say as a finale to SpongeBob, and a culmination of the whole show, I wouldn't say it peaked with this. I know you disagree with this, but I personally think SpongeBob peaked with season 2. All I'll say is it was a very good way to end it. And as I say, as a ending to SpongeBob, the show, and if you watch the show, I'd give this an 8.5 out of 10. Very great film. And just as a film on its own, like, it's just a good buddy road trip. I'd say like 7.5 out of 10, a very good film. Like, it's such an easy watch and it's quite fun. But obviously they didn't let SpongeBob go. Nickelodeon thought, nah, we're making too much money off of this, man. Let's just keep spamming it out and making more money and kids will just watch it anyway. And we haven't got Nickelodeon anymore in our house. But when we used to, and when my grandparents used to, in like the early 2010s, and I even checked it sometimes in like 2015, 2016, just to see what was on. It was just SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, then some other random show I'd never heard of. So they really have milked SpongeBob and spammed it out a lot, man. So, yeah, it's crazy how much they've just shoved this show down people's throats. And it's so sad that it really has fallen from grace. I'm sure maybe one day we'll review season 4. Season 4 does get pretty bad, then season 5 gets horrendous. But I don't know, maybe we will review that one day. I don't know. But yeah, I've said what I wanted to say about the SpongeBob film. We can move on to the segments in a bit. But first, Mr. Liam, you have the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, so I suppose the stuff with... I suppose the David Hasselhoff stuff was kind of... decent. I know there's that shot of him running with the surfboard as well, which is of course a homage to Baywatch, which he was in, and some kind of funny stuff there, decent stuff, cheesy elements, I guess, with him, and how he was acting as like a speedboat, and I suppose it was kind of cool in a way how he kind of just makes... I don't know, it's kind of funny and weird how like he's kind of like his abs were like kind of... I can't remember what it was, like they were expanding or something, and then he ended up launching SpongeBob and Patrick into the Krusty Krab too. And
his pecs, you mean?
Or his pecs, yeah, whatever. Oh yeah, the abs are the... yeah. Yeah, so yeah, some kind of entertaining stuff there with um, some cheesiness. Yeah, I guess the Goofy Goober song was yeah, it was kind of decent. I was wondering what it was like a parodying. So you said it's a parody of what I Will Rock, is it? Is that what you said
I
it was
want I
called?
want to rock.
I Want to Rock. I'll have to listen to that, but yeah, that was kind of cool. I suppose the end bit as well, with like Squidward going into a bit of a monologue about SpongeBob, discovering like he doesn't need to be the manager, but then SpongeBob's like, no, I always wanted this and whatever, which is kind of funny, but makes sense in a way. Yeah, so some entertaining stuff here and there, decent stuff. Yeah, I mean, I made some notes again, which I've been doing on different things I've been watching and reviewing. So I just said, like, decent film overall. If SpongeBob ended here, then it would have been a mostly satisfying ending. I found some of the humour funny, but like I said, some of the humour and character behaviour is taken to the extreme and can go on for a bit too long, becoming annoying in the process. I thought the plot was decent, and then the film was, like pretty much nearly an hour and a half, which is typical of a lot of animated films. So it was pretty fast paced, really, I guess. Yeah, and I've said here, some strange, funny moments here and there, like with David Hasselhoff during the climax. Yeah, I said it was kind of cool with the Goofy Goober thing, SpongeBob defeating Plankton and saves the day. How the way he does that, somewhat cool. Yeah, and you said before as well how it would have been nice to see more of like the other characters who we see in the show, like Sandy and Mrs. Puff maybe, and Squidward and whoever. So I've said here that even though it makes sense for the story, uh, it's all up to SpongeBob and Patrick to save Bikini Bottom from Plankton. I would have liked to see more of characters like Squidward. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, Squidward is, it probably is my favourite character in the show, so there's that. And he's probably the one I find the most entertaining and funny, and a lot of the episodes with him in are some of the best, in my opinion. And I've said animation was even more of a jump in quality from Series 3. There's definitely, animation was definitely quite polished here compared to like the show as well. It didn't seem like there were any parts, I'd argue, shots that weren't, that looked like they possibly needed a bit of polish, like maybe you could argue some of the episodes in the show before this film came out. And I've said, yeah, more scenes of animation blended with live action, with these scenes being more ambitious. A few decent songs. I thought the new characters served their purpose in the story. Like you, I thought Dennis was okay, while the Cyclops had one or two funny moments. I guess funny moments in the sense that Harry was kind of ended up being defeated, I guess, and how he was acting and whatnot. I thought Mindy was probably one of the standouts among the new characters, I guess. I don't know. I suppose she was kind of, I don't know, I thought she was kind of likable, I suppose. Yeah, King Neptune returns and he's an important character. I was going to say, in the show before this film, doesn't he have like long hair, but then he's got like a
Yeah,
bald, yeah,
I
he's
was
like
gonna.
lost a lot of it.
I've completely forgot to bring that up. I just want to say quickly, don't mean to cut you off there, but I just want to say I do prefer King Neptune in the show. He seems like more of an epic, angry, intimidating force who you wouldn't want to piss off. While sure, the new King Neptune is quite an intimidating, angry force, he just comes across as more of a goofball and more aimed at kids. And also, the original voice actor for him was Elaine's boss in Seinfeld, and he has quite an iconic voice. While this new King Neptune just seems like a bit of a downgrade. He's not bad, but he just seems more aimed towards kids and just a bit silly. The bald scene was quite funny though. Bald, bald. That was quite funny. But yeah, the floor is yours once
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, I thought his voice sounded different in this compared to the shows. I was wondering whether he had a different voice actor. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I do prefer Neptune from the show to this film. What else have I said? And I've just ended by saying I wouldn't necessarily choose to rewatch this film over some of the episodes from the show, but I wouldn't really mind rewatching it. In conclusion, I think it's a relatively entertaining time, and I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, fair enough. I thought you would have given it higher, to be fair, because oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to say my actual rating. So because I gave it a 7.5 and then I gave 8.5 as an ending to the SpongeBob show, I'd end up giving it an 8. I'd just say it's great overall. I'll meet in the middle with those two scores. So overall, I'd say it's an 8 out of 10, a great film. But yeah, I thought you give it a higher rating because I know you said it was you enjoyed it more than Die Hard 2. So I thought, mate, if this film's better than Die Hard 2, surely Liam's going to be giving it a pretty good rating. But no, it's 7.5. So was you not that bothered about Die Hard 2 at all? I thought Die Hard 2 slapped quite a bit. I thought it was a very great film.
And now I thought it was. Well, I said to you in one of my messages I sent to you that I thought they were both decent. So like decent, being in between average and good.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but Die Hard 2, yeah, I thought it really was like, considerably inferior to the original Die Hard, and
yeah, I agree.
It really didn't have what the first one had,
I agree that it is considerably inferior, but it's still a very great. Like Die Hard 1 is like a 10 out of 10, one of the best films of all time, in my opinion. Die Hard 2, it isn't going to be as good, is it? So, but I do get why people aren't that bothered about Die Hard 2, because there are certain aspects, like the general, he basically loses all his power. He basically ends up running off in the middle of the film, like about, well, it's sort of towards the end of the final act, but when he's like running off on the snow speeder, it just feels like instead of like, so like the first and third one, it's about figuring things out and trying to dupe people and like, trying to figure out Hans Gruber in the first one and then trying to figure out his brother in the third one, played by Jeremy Irons. It seemed like there was a lot more intelligence involved in Bruce Willis beating him. And don't get me wrong, it was sick how Bruce Willis beat him with the gasoline at the end, how he pulled the fuel cap out. So they would have run out of fuel anyway, but it was just funny how he shot how he lit the gasoline and he was just like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. That was pretty cool. I liked how he moved them off at the last second. But in the other two, it was more intelligent how he beat them, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of, especially the first one, there was so many moments where Bruce Willis was out doing the robbers and then Alan Rickman and his crew would outdo him. The third one, pretty much Jeremy Irons won. The only problem was that he was kind to Bruce Willis and said, yeah, here you go, here's the painkillers, mate. So it was Jeremy Irons just giving him painkillers, and they realised, oh, okay, this is where he is. This is where he's hiding because he's got these painkillers.
Yeah,
but obviously we'll talk about that in more detail. I don't know, maybe in a couple of weeks, or maybe in September when I'm back off of holiday. I guess we'll just have to see what time is available for myself and yourself to record another podcast. But before we move on to the two segments, is there anything that you want to say? Anything else you want to say about the SpongeBob movie? And one last question: do you reckon you will watch SpongeBob season 4 anytime soon as well?
Well, I was just thinking when you're on about series 4 and 5, I'm not going to lie, I am tempted. I am intrigued to watch them because I want to see. I want to see what they're like, because I know that you've said, or at least you think, like the first few episodes of series 4 are good, and then it sort of goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
So I'm curious because there probably will be a few episodes there that are from maybe the start that I'll probably have watched on TV and remember. But I am kind of curious just to keep going for a little bit, just to see what it's like after now after having watched the film in full and whatever. So
fair enough then. As you have advised that, I will at some point start watching SpongeBob season 4 again. I haven't watched it in bloody donkey's years, man. I think I've probably watched it a fair bit from like 2006 to 2010. Same as season 5 and then season 6. When I look through all the IMDb episodes, I realised, oh, okay, season 6 is where I must have stopped watching because I don't recognise a lot of these episodes. Which is weird because season 4 was 2005. So yeah, in 2007, it must have took ages for the episodes to get to the UK or something. I don't know, because I do remember watching a lot of SpongeBob in 2009 still. So I don't know why we weren't getting. Why wasn't what? Why when you get to series 6 on IMDb, I can't remember a lot of these episodes. I don't recognise a lot of them. But then all the original series, I watched that a fair bit. You know, I don't know. Maybe Nickelodeon in the UK just wanted to air. I don't know the episodes before. I guess I don't know. And then in America, they obviously aired all the new episodes on Nickelodeon in America. But yeah, as you're intrigued, I will watch season 4, and then after reviewing season 4, maybe we just both see how we feel. Do we want to jump into season 5, which is absolute shite, or would we want to, just call it a day? What I find interesting is a lot of the shows that I've gone back to revisit. Like I rewatched Red versus Blue, the whole of Red versus Blue. I think I did it in 2022 or 2021. No, not the whole of it. I watched where I last got to. So I watched the whole show and I got to season 14, and it was genuinely like the last bit that I got to. So on my original watching of Red versus Blue, I watched it until like 2016, and I thought, you know what? It's all right, but I'm going to quit watching it here. Then I rewatched the whole show. Then I got to the bit that I got to in 2016 when I was rewatching it in 2021, and I thought, yeah, I'm bored of it again. I don't want to watch the rest of the show. So it's mad. And then you've got like SpongeBob, where I might just only end up getting to season 5 again because I don't want to watch the rest of it. And then regular show, I got to where I watched it back in the day. I got to when I like season 3, but I'm getting through more of season 3 now. I'm getting to episodes where I'm like, oh, I've never seen these ones before. I must have just stopped watching at this point, which made sense because around 2012, 2013, I thought I don't want to watch cartoons anymore. I'm going to get made fun of at school and no one's interested in this. But obviously now I go back and watch cartoons because as much as the modern world has a lot of shit points, the only kind of cool point is I guess there are a fair few people who are into cartoons and appreciate people talking about, reviewing cartoons and discussing cartoons and talking about what makes a good story. Obviously I don't watch a lot of modern cartoons, but people appreciate it, I guess, because it's nostalgia from their childhoods, I suppose. I wouldn't mind watching newer cartoons. I just can't really be bothered.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Well, so before we move on to segments, anything you want to say about the film? Anything else?
Is there anything else? I don't think so. Don't think.
Fair enough then. Let's jump on to yes, new. So, for those of you that don't know, this is the segment where I ask Liam, George, or whoever's on, I give them a scenario. How much would you do for this amount of money? Then I keep trying to guess the amount that they want to do it for. Obviously, I can't just guess 100 million straight away because that would be boring. I see what's the lowest amount that they'd accept it for and see if I can guess it. Usually with Liam, it takes me about loads of guesses, to be honest. But this is going to be an interesting one now, this one I'm going to ask you, because it's not something like, bloody, I don't know, get farted on by Glory the Hippo, then run around bloody Stoke-on-Trent naked and go, wee! So it's nothing that daft. So how much for a full day, let's say you have an 8-hour shift, and while you're there, I have somehow got telekinesis powers, and you know that I'm doing this, so you know that there's a chance I'm doing this. Well, I'm in my room all day, but I'm controlling what you're doing. So if I flick a switch, if I'm going like this, you'll be going like this for no reason. And then if I'm talking and saying, oh, yes, you'll be doing that as well. So you might be serving a customer, but then at home, I'll be going, I'll flick a switch and go, and then you'll be saying that to a customer. Wow. Or like your gaffer will go, so Liam, can you go and clean this mess up, or can you go and take the trash out, or can you restock this shelf, or you're okay to be on the till for half an hour? And then I might go, but I don't know who's talking to you. I'm just randomly going, so your gaffer might go, Liam, can you?
Oh god!
But the only rules are I can't do anything like, obviously I can't, in this scenario, I'm not going to do anything which will get you like thrown in prison or fired. it's just humiliating stuff, where people are going to be like, what on earth? So that it wouldn't be like you mooning people or pulling your boxers down or anything stupid or, you know, assaulting people or anything horrible. It's just you going, brr, brr, you know, and all that. And going, I love you, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obviously, I don't mean to say that on the podcast, but it'd be stuff like that I'd be saying. So you'd be saying stupid things like that or going, yes, 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 doing the can, yes, 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 yes. All right then. So you know the scenario. Minus £1,000. Oh, I'm shocked at that. I thought you'd love to do that, Liam, for a laugh. It's not me. It's a man who's controlling me from miles away. All right. Our serious offers now. £20,000 in 8 hours.
No.
But you're not going to get fired. You're not going to do anything horrible to anyone. You're not going to assault anyone. It's just you go.
Well, it's still.
Misa Liam. Misa work at the works. Misa on.
I mean, they're definitely going to be thinking like. They're definitely going to be thinking like, what have I been on? You know, what is this guy on? Yeah. Considering.
All right. 50 grand in 8 hours.
No.
55 grand. 75. 85. Liam, I'd do this for bloody 15 grand. I'd love to have, 15 grand given to me. It wouldn't bother me. Like, well, mind you, people know I'm a little bit mad and I have that sort of no context vibe where I'm like doing some mad thing for a laugh or doing some bonkers impression. So I guess it's easier for me. While your work probably think you're the most normal bloke ever, which I guess you kind of are. But you obviously everyone has their moments of a bit of fun and silliness. All right, so you've turned down 85 grand for 8 hours of work. I can't believe you. Do you really think I'd be in my room all day going just to make you do stupid stuff at work? For all I know,
I don't know.
You're doing like a 2-hour-long poo to avoid it.
I don't know. That's the thing with you,
All right.
So you never know.
105 grand.
I was going to say 100.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, well, 105 grand, that's pretty close. I kind of don't blame you because your reputation at work would be tarnished forever if I was going, all the time and go, and all this madness.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. It could be risky. And I know, like you say, I wouldn't be doing anything, breaking the law or anything serious like that. But it's still, I don't know. It could still be quite disruptive, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I mentioned about a 2-hour poo earlier. Have you? Has anyone at your work ever done like a 2-hour poo or something ridiculous? And everyone's been like, "Where's this person gone? Why have they been doing a poo for so long?"
No.
Oh, fair play. At least everyone stays at their workstation. I mean, at my work, no one I've directly worked with has done that. However, someone I know knows someone who would basically stay up on their final day off before they have to do their shifts again. They'd stay up until like 4 a.m, sleep for like 2 hours, go to work, and then they'd do a bit of work for like 3 hours. Then they go to the disabled toilets and fall asleep while sitting on the toilet. So being their status, which is like, let's say toilet status or whatever, or personal time, and then he'd be in that status for like 35 minutes, and this would happen like throughout the day, which that's very bad. So instead of getting fired, which I think you should really, because it's his own dumbass fault for staying up till 4 a.m. or whatever, like why would you do that to yourself? So anyway, instead of him getting fired, he just has to pay all the time back. I don't know if he still does it now, but for a while he did.
Okay. Mm.
I don't know. He'd wake himself up after like being sleep deprived after 35 minutes, waking himself up. You think if it was me, bro, I'd be on there for bloody 10 hours. But if it was me, I wouldn't stay up till 4 a.m. You know, I'd go to sleep early. I'll try my best to be disciplined.
Mm.
I know George, one of
Yes,
his jobs. Well, in primary school with GC, he used to bloody like go to the toilet for ages and just avoid his work, which is pretty funny. Even though he'd have a teaching assistant do most of the work for him. But,
no surprise there.
yeah, and who else was it? Who I knew? Oh yeah, and when he was working someplace, he said he didn't do this, but someone who I know who knew that he worked at that place said that he used to spend like 2 hours on the toilet somehow. And I don't want to believe it, but knowing GC's antics, I wouldn't be surprised because it was voluntary. It was voluntary. It was something he had to do for college. I wouldn't be surprised if he got fed up and just went for a poo for 2 hours.
I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know as much as I act daft. If someone told you, Liam, James has done a poo for 2 hours, you'd say, "Nah, man, James is a grafter." And I know if someone said Liam did a poo for 2 hours, unless your workplace really pissed you off, I wouldn't believe it for a second. But GC, I wouldn't be surprised if he bloody took a poo for 10 hours. If he got there before his shift started and then stayed on the loo until like way after the place closes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You know, because I can just imagine him doing that, just being like, I'm just going to do what I want, and just make his get his own way and get out of having to do a hard day's work.
Yeah, I don't think anything he would do would surprise me. I think no.
Yeah, because he told me, and I couldn't believe that he admitted to this, because he usually doesn't reveal when he's done something mad and embarrassing. But bro, he told me when he worked at the retail shop, he was 10 minutes late, and they said to him, "You've got to stay over 10 minutes." And he just started going, "Ee, ee, ee,
Oh yeah.
ee," and I'm thinking, what? How did this work? Why
I
did
remember he said, yeah.
Bro, if
Yeah.
I was a gaffer there, I'd say, look, you either do the 10 minutes or this is a disciplinary or an improvement notice. Because we've given you an order. You haven't shown up on time. You work the 10 minutes over. That's what's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. It's only 10 minutes, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe I think maybe based off what you said, maybe the way he did it was perhaps a bit more convincing.
Oh yeah, maybe he was just sort of
like not necessarily the way you did it, but
yeah.
But
Maybe that's what he was having some
still,
panic attack or
I mean,
something.
it's still only like 10 minutes or whatever, isn't it?
But thing is, it was a temporary contract. Things like
Yeah.
that seal the deal, whether they want you to stay or not. So I don't
Well,
get
maybe. Yeah.
why, like something like that, not being willing to stay over 10 minutes when you've been 10 minutes late is pretty piss poor. I'd be furious if a worker did that. Bro, I haven't been late for ages, man. I haven't been late since September of last year on a random Sunday, which again, anything could happen. I could be late for work tomorrow. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But the latest I've been, I think, is 8 minutes one time, which isn't, I just work the 8 minutes over. You know what I'm saying? I've been 2 or 3 minutes late, like probably about 5 times. That's about it, really. I mean, even for my jobs before, when I worked for the advice line, bro, I was never late, man. I was always early because it was a long distance I used to have to drive, a longish distance that I used to have to drive, but like there wasn't much traffic because it was sort of like through countryside roads. So I was always early. I was never late for that job, man. But again, it was only like I think 25, 30 hours a week, so it's a lot easier than doing like. Although it doesn't sound like much less, like it's only like what 10, 15 hours less than a full working week. Bro, working 25 hours a week, I found easy as anything. Like, obviously, the job still had its stressful moments. You still had difficult queries, but like getting all that free time, bro, I thought, man, amazing. You know what I'm saying? It was just so easy. For me, anyway, it depends what job you do. Yeah, there's one last point I was going to make. Oh yeah, but basically, and when I worked in the warehouse, I think I was like twice. I was. It was just my own fault, just me not being disciplined enough. I was 2 minutes late once, then I was 8 minutes late one time, and I worked them both over. So Yeah. But have you ever been late, Liam? I can't imagine you ever been late.
Yeah, I've been late. Yeah.
By a lot, or
Um, I mean, there's only been maybe one or two occasions I think where it's been by a, well, I say maybe like I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, maybe one or two times, but and then like it's been maybe a number of other times where it's not so much, but
yeah,
it depends. Some at times, yeah, it's like that's my fault, but then other times, you know, um, it might be other factors like traffic and things like that and
yeah.
roadworks.
I can imagine for your old job, it might have been a bit difficult, man. Like when you worked 9 till 5, a bit of time on that apprenticeship. Like I know you were probably referring to the works then, but when people have to
Mm,
do 9 to 5, bro, it's brutal, man. That is like the worst shift ever. I know when we did that shift tier list months ago, you and GC thought it was an easier shift to do, but bro, you don't know how. Maybe if you're not commuting, if you're working in your hometown, then it's a piece of cake. I guess any shift is I guess the most convenient shift for you is just the biggest piece of cake. But when you're commuting, doing 9 till 5, which, with the utmost respect in the world, you and GC haven't travelled a ridiculous distance for 9 to 5 jobs, doing a constant 9 to 5.
mm,
I did that for my apprenticeship, bro. It was horrible. Like I was stuck in traffic for ages, man, ages and ages and ages. I was stuck in traffic, bro, and it just becomes tedious and boring. I hated it, man. I absolutely hated it. So anyone who does a 9 to 5 and commutes, bro, you have got guts and balls of steel, and you are very mentally strong. But again, I don't know if everyone travels as far as I do. Some people probably travel further. Some people don't travel as far. Um, but it's all about, at the end of the day, if a shift looks good to you and GC though on that shift tier list, you're going to pick that shift, aren't you? Like I've worked all these different shifts. Maybe if someone said to me years ago, "Would you do this shift?" I say no. It looks horrible. But I've worked all the shifts and I've enjoyed them. I've worked all sorts of shifts. So yeah, I guess it's just one of those things, isn't it? Just personal preference. But yeah, man, it's so easy to be late working a 9 to 5 instead because you're having to set off earlier anyway, and you're getting back later anyway because of the traffic. So you're setting off early to avoid the traffic. You're getting back later because you're stuck in the traffic. Then you've got to do stuff when you get home, and then you probably got to go to bed a bit earlier as well. And you're going to be more exhausted because you've been commuting for so much longer.
mm. Yeah, I
Oh,
suppose. Yeah.
now on to job slobs. What the hell is the? Oh, I thought GC had got hacked then. But he just sent me something else. I thought GC had sent me like this virus link or something, but it's something else. Sorry, job slobs. So, would you rather be a Twitch streamer where I can control loads of stupid sound effects like fart noises and yes, yes, new and Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Star Wars theme blasting and just all sorts of stupid sound effects while you're streaming? So maybe I'm at work when you stream and you're like, oh, James isn't going to do anything stupid. But maybe it's on one of my days off. I think shit, Liam streams. So I'm pressing all the buttons, going, ding, 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 so would you rather? But that's your job, and you can pick and choose your hours as long as you stream. Let's say I don't know, 3 or more hours a day, 5 days a week. But obviously that will impact how much money you make. Or be a YouTuber where where George edits all your videos, so he could edit them really well. He's got the best software. Let's say he doesn't use the software on his phone, but he could also make a stupid Y2P video going, yes, yes, no, yes, and then it's like bloody you with a certain historical figure and driving a certain historical figure's car and just all the editing you in bizarre situations and making you look bad. Or he could make the videos really well. I guess it just depends on what he wants to do. But imagine you're playing like a serious game, and then it's just loads of fart noise. And
Mm. That is a hard one, but I think I'd go for the Twitch streamer
just
with
slightly.
with you having control of the sound effects. Yeah, just slightly, I think.
I
Yeah.
guess if you think about it, you might be able to avoid me looking at your streams. Well, with every video, GC is going to edit every video. That's one of those things.
Mm. And he could, yeah, he could.
He could make you look like bloody the CCP or King Jong Un or bloody, Stalin or Hitler or bloody Nero or whoever.
Well, yeah, he could put his hand spin on things. Yes,
Yeah.
in the editing. So
Yeah, you could just edit you to be like Genghis Khan or, anyone or Lenin.
Yeah. So yeah.
Or Vladimir Putin or whoever. So,
Mm.
that's it for today. Then that's the end of the podcast. Hopefully, we can do the Die Hard one in late July. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I guess. Anything else you want to say, Liam, before we end this podcast?
Just the usual, yeah. Just it's been good, yeah. Good to review another film. Talk about SpongeBob film. Yeah, again, just looking forward to reviewing more films. Yeah, and
Yeah.
reviewing the second and third Die Hards.
Oh crap! Yeah, the Die Hard films would be brilliant to do. I guess we'll do that one next, and then hopefully we can do the one where, well, GC's recommended 2 films for me and you to watch, and we can review them. I think the one was 17 again, which looks all right. I really don't think it's your sort of film, but I think I might. I think it'll either be like a guilty pleasure film for me, like yeah, I enjoy this. This is a good fun film. It's not too bad. Or I'll think it's just a silly American comedy. And then the anime one, I've got no idea. But he's saying it's not a crappy, degenerate anime. It's a good anime film, so I'll take his word. And then we can either do my films next or your films. Have you got any ideas for what films that me and GC haven't watched that you want us to watch and review with you?
I haven't came up with anything yet. I haven't thought of anything.
Yeah.
I'll have to. But I was just going to say, 17 again. I think I've watched some of it.
Oh, okay.
I think I don't know. I can't remember if I've watched the whole thing, but I might have at least watched some of it.
Did you like it?
I don't know whether I was that keen on it because of the genre and whatnot, but
Okay.
but it'd be interesting to go back to it, I guess, and watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the anime film, I watched the trailer that George sent, and well, the trailer didn't sell me. I'm not going to lie, but I'll give it a go. Of course, I'll give it a go and see what it's like.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I might try and watch the trailer then and see what it's. I might have watched it and just blanked out. That'll be interesting. At least George hasn't. At least when we've given GC a bit of creative power, at least he hasn't completely botched it and bloody chosen like the Zombieland Saga film and then some borderline hentai film or whatever. At least.
Well, he knows we're just not going to watch them.
Yeah, after the previous George takes over, I just thought to myself, like, he's getting me to watch rubbish, like the bottom of the barrel. With all the respect in the world, like, just some of the worst stuff on television. Like, I watched some bottom of the barrel shows growing up, like they put all sorts of bizarre cartoons on TV. And all I'll say is that anime was one of the most boring, like Zombieland Saga. Again, he says it gets better if you give it more of a chance. But I was next level bored with that. I could not stand it at all. I was just like, I couldn't concentrate on it. I just thought this is the most boring, uneventful tat show going. And then Henzuki, I thought, what on earth is going on? What the hell is this? This is just some bizarre fantasy. And then when I found out that the characters, obviously they're drawn like adults, but they're actually underage, even though GC said, no, I promise you they're all 18 and over. I was like, this is bizarre that they're making bloody these characters that are under 18 doing all these shenanigans. I thought, nah, this is rubbish. I'm not trusting anything that he tells me to watch again unless it's properly proven that it isn't a complete load of degenerate garbage.
Mhm.
But if that film he sent is degenerate rubbish, which I don't think it is, but if it is, I'm just turning it off. I'm just saying we're just reviewing 17. Well, I'm just reviewing 17 again. Actually, no, I don't. If it is complete slop, I'm just not going to review it. I'll just say sorry, pick another film, because I'm trying to push the podcast away from, again, that the Georgia Guilty Pleasure Animations segment where it was guessing what picture an anime was from, whether it was an anime or a hentai. I just want to get. I know I've talked about it before, but I just want to try and, again, I try not to swear as much anymore on the podcast, or I'm just trying to push the podcast away from complete silliness and sappiness. Which
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
I like to try and have a laugh and all that stuff, but I just want the podcast to just have a bit of just a bit of worth and not just like silly smut and all that crap. I want something that isn't slobby crap. I want it to be somewhat professional, but a decent laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we can end that one there. One last question I wanted to ask: what is the next video? I know you're on holiday soon, so I hope you enjoy your holiday. But what's the next video you're working on?
It's the other Star Wars game for the 20th anniversary Revenge of the Sith thing. Is it for these it worth playing?
Okay.
Because I did Republic Commando for the first one, didn't I?
I should have done Battlefront 2.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not that. Well, I don't know whether to. Well, I'll just say what it is. It's for the Revenge of the Sith game.
I thought you just said like 20 seconds ago it's for the Revenge of the Sith game.
No, I said like there were two games that were Star Wars games I was doing because of.
Okay.
It was the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. It was re-released, wasn't it? Yeah. Of course, I was originally intending to try and make them and upload them in May, but of course that didn't happen. So I don't know why I said that really, but still working on the script for this one. But yeah, so it's going to be for the Revenge of the Sith game. This one, is it worth playing? And yeah, I suppose that's kind of why one of the shorts I uploaded was of that trailer that plays in the start menu. So
that's pretty cool. Will you ever talk about Battlefront 2 from 2005 then, or do you reckon?
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, like I said, we'll end that one there then. What we got to say for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care. Have a good one. See you later.